Hello students, myself Sumangla Piradar. In previous videos, we discussed about data model and different categories of data model and schemas. Now here we focus on three schema architecture and different types of the DBMS languages and interfaces. First we'll concentrate on three schema architecture. The main goal of three schema architecture is to separate the user applications from the physical database. Usually physical database means database actually it is stored in the back end here, and user application it is in front end here. Okay, user application as a front end and physical database as a back end here. To separate these two, you are following the three schema architecture here. And this three schema architecture contains three levels. First one is internal level, next one is conceptual level, and third one is external level. And internal level, it defines three internal schema which describes physical storage structure of the database. Next one is conceptual level, it defines conceptual schema which describes structure of our database. Next one is external level. It defines external schema which describes various user views. So end users, what are the data they want to store or they want to retrieve, that information they represent here in the form of external view here. So that comes under in this external label. Next is, so now what are the data users want to create, that database, how to create, what are the structure you have to follow, that information comes under in this conceptual schema. This is your conceptual level here. Once a database is created, you have to store that database in a disk. For storing, what are the access paths required to retrieve that data, and what is the format you have to follow to store that data, and what are the procedure you have to follow to access or retrieve that data fastly. That information comes under in this internal schema, that is your internal level here, and this is your stored database here. So now is it clear what actually external level and what is conceptual level and what is the internal level? Okay, so now we'll see one more term here, that is the external and conceptual mapping between this external level and the conceptual level here. What actually mapping means? Mapping means is very simple. For example, end user want to view some information. So how they will ask that question? So they will use the external view here, and what language they know, that is the, they use the natural language to what actually they want. Okay, so that information it is specified in the form of the natural language, and that one you will convert in the form of the query language, and that query language is understood by the conceptual schema. Formatting, okay, this is the general. End users will ask the question in general what information they want. So that one you have to convert in the form of the format, standard format. That formation only we call as a external to conceptual mapping here. Next, conceptual schema, it will try to know that what is the required data it is stored in which database. So it just identify the database and what are the data holds that information. So that thing you will get from the conceptual level. So then it sends that request to the internal schema, and internal schema's work is what? Where actually that particular required data is stored here. So what is the access path you have to follow to access that data here. So that is what we call as a conceptual to internal mapping. So once if you get to know that where actually required data is stored, so it accesses that data from that stored database and it transfer that data from internal schema to conceptual schema, and from conceptual schema to external schema here, external view here. So this is how actually three schema architecture works here. Is it clear now? Okay, thank you. Next, we are using one term as a data independence based on your three schema architecture. Data independence is based on the labels. If you make any changes in the external label, it doesn't make any difference to your conceptual schema and the internal schema. In the same way, if you make any changes in the database structure in the conceptual schema, it doesn't make any difference to your internal schema and the external schema here. So in the same way, if you are make any changes in the storage structure or storage format, it doesn't make any difference to your conceptual schema and the external schema. So this procedure only we call as a data independence. Okay, independently you can make any changes in the each level without affecting the remaining levels. That is what we call as what? That is we call as a data independence. So now based on which level you make the changes, you are subcategorized this data independence as a logical data independence and physical data independence. So logical data independence means here you are making changes in the conceptual schema. How will make the changes? By adding the any record type or any data item, or you can also change the constraints or to reduce the database by removing a record type or the data item. Yes, whatever you want to make changes in the database structure, you can make changes without affecting the other schemas. Okay, other schemas are what now? External schema and the internal schema. Without affecting the external schema and internal schema, you can make changes in the conceptual schema here. So for that, here I taken one example. Actually, your grade report, this is the one database. It contains the data as a student number, section identifier and grade here. But users want to view the information in the grade report that contains both even section identifier and the course number here. Okay, student name and course number, which is not available in the grade report. But user request is what? Now user request want to see even student name and the course number. As you can make changes in your record tab. How you are making changes now? By adding the data item here. So student name is you are adding here, and also course number you are adding. As you can add this two, and you can represent this one as a external view to that particular user who want to view this information here. So if you make any changes, it doesn't make any difference to the your internal schema here. Okay, that is independent here. So that is what we call as a logical data independence. Next is physical data independence. You can make changes to the internal schema without having to change the conceptual schema. So in the storage structure also you can make changes. So you can also change the file structure. How? By reorganizing the file structure here. Okay, so now earlier whatever the arrangement you are done, no, for example, if you take this as the records, so earlier you are maintained as a like this, so now you want to rearrange those records here as a database here. Yes, in the file structure you can rearrange, and also new indexes are created to improve the database performance. Whenever you want to make changes in your index structure, also in the hash, okay, hash key if you are using, keyword based searching concept if you are using, there also if you want to make any changes, yes, you can make changes in the access path and in the index structure, and also you can rearrange the file structure. Earlier you are stored in the C drive, now you want to store that in the D drive, yes, you can make changes. Earlier you are stored in one folder, now you want to change that one in another folder, yes, like that also you can make changes in the database, whatever it is stored in the stored database here. So that changes doesn't make any difference to your conceptual schema. That is the logical data independence. Is it clear now? So logical data independence means making changes in the conceptual schema doesn't make any difference to internal schema. Physical data independence, you can make changes in the internal schema, doesn't make any difference to your database structure. Is it clear now? Okay. Next we'll go for DBMS languages. So here based on the definition and based on the storage and based on the views, that is based on your three schema architecture, you are having the different types of the languages. So first one is data definition language. So DDL language. This is the defining language. Usually database administrator and database designer users use this data definition language in the conceptual level, okay, in the conceptual schema to describe the your data, okay, for database structure if you want to create. So for that you go and use this data definition language here. Next is storage definition language, SDL. SDL, storage definition language, internal schema related. So if you want to make any changes in the storage structure, or if you want to create a new storage structure and storage format, whatever thing you want to do in the internal schema, so for that you have to use the storage definition language. Next is the view definition language. View definition language is the providing the multiple views of the same database based on the user requirement, what actually they want to view. So that one you have to provide here. So to create that you are using the view definition language for the end user purpose. Next is data manipulation language. Data manipulation language, that is DML, to manipulate or update the created database. What are the database you already created? So that one, if you want to make updation in that, yes, you can do that one using this data manipulation language. Manipulating the database. It may be inserting the new record or deleting the already existing record, or you can make the modification in the existing record. For that purpose you have to go for using the data manipulation language here. So in the data manipulation language, DML, you are using, once again, it is subcategorized as a high level or non-procedural language. Usually it is related with the relational language, SQL. Okay. So now SQL comes under this high level of non-procedural language. It may be used in standalone or may be embedded in a programming language. Standalone means what? Individual application and individual database if you want to create. Individual user application as a front end and individual database as a physical database as a back end. If you want, yes, for that purpose also you can use this high level or non-procedural language, or you can use the embedded in a programming language. You have created the user applications using Java, C, C++, okay, and that one if you want to embed with the, so this programming languages are what now here? C, C++, Java, okay, Python, whatever. So those programming languages you are used for creating the front end as a user application, and you are using the DBMS as a backend to create the your physical database here. So then you have to make the embedding between this query language and the programming language. So that is what you call as a embedded in the programming language here. Next, here high level or non-procedural language, it specifies how to retrieve the data rather than, okay, which data you want to retrieve rather than how to retrieve it. Okay, so here it is related with the database structure. Okay, database, how to define the database and how to retrieve that data, that procedure you can get from this high level non-procedural languages, high level or non-procedural language. But how you are retrieving that procedure is not comes under in this high level language. That's why you call this one as a what here? Declarative here. Declarative means what? It is bother about the data here. Which data you want to retrieve. How you are retrieving that information, it does not comes under in this high level or non-procedural language. Next is low level or procedural language. These must be embedded in a programming language. Compulsory it must be embedded in a programming language because it is related with the user application and also the database. In the low level you are related with the database here. Physical database, whatever it is stored, no, so that comes under in as a query language, and user application comes under as a programming language here. So then there must be embedding between these two here. And for user application, what are the programming language or use, no, those languages usually call as a host language here. Okay, if you are using the application or you have created the application using C++, Java or Python, that language what we call as a host language. So what are the database you are required? That database you are stored using the low level or the procedural languages here. So here this low level procedure or procedure language is once again it is categorized based on how to retrieve the database here. Okay, what are the data it is stored in the stored database? No, how will retrieve? Based on that you are having the two categories. One is record at a time here. So if you are using the relational database, so then it is stored in the form of the table here. Okay, this is your one table. Assume that this table contain the multiple records here. Okay, so now one second, I'll take the example of previous one here. So this is, I'll take simple example. Assume that grade report, this is one database, it contain the multiple records here. So record at a time means what it is? This is the student number 17 and hang the section identifier as a 112 and grade as a 15 here. This one you consider as a one record. If you want to read this, okay, if you want to view the this one single record at a time, that is what you call as a record at a time here. Record means what it is? Only one row at a time here. This row contains the three different data information, that is student number, section identifier and grade. So this you call as a record at a time. For example, in the grade report you are having the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 records. All records you want to retrieve at a time. Then you call that one as a set at a time here. Okay. So now record at a time. Here you are using based on the how to retrieve the records. You are using the two terms. One is record at a time, single record at a time. Set at a time or set oriented is the set of records you want to retrieve at a time here. Okay. These are the two different categories of low level or procedure languages here. Okay. Is it clear? So this is about your DBMS languages. Next we'll go for DBMS interfaces. Based on the user requirement and based on the different types of the database users, you are using the different interfaces. First one is menu based interfaces for web clients or browsing. Here name itself it tells it is what you are performing the interfacing with the help of the menus, pop-up menus here. Browsing interfaces, you can also call this one as a browsing interfaces here. So this browsing interfaces is what? If you want to access any data, that interfacing is done through with the help of the menus and the forms here. Oh, sorry, pop-up menus here. Next one is the forms based interfaces. Forms based interfaces is so usually this one is used by the which user? That is the naive user or parametric user. So now this is in the form of the forms which contains text boxes, command buttons, all those things. Okay. Next is graphical user interfaces. It contains in the form of the graphics, okay, diagrams here. So what are the queries you want? You can specify by modifying the diagrams here. Next is natural language interfaces. General natural language interfaces is English. Using English you can tell what actually you want. Okay. Next is speech input and output here. Google Assistant here. Okay. What actually you want, that one you speak using the speech input, and what are the output you'll get to, that is also in the form of the speech here. Example is your Google Assistant. Next, interfaces for parametric users. Here you are using form based users and also this interfaces for parametric users. As you already know that parametric users example I told as a bank tellers here. So work of the bank tellers is what? They have to deposit the amounts and also they have to withdraw the amounts and also what? They have to check what is the account balance is there. So now for that they have to modify the database here. For modification, what are the operations you require now? So that operation you can get in the form of the keystrokes. If you just type any one key, then automatically you will get the deposit information, and by automatically using one key you can get the withdraw the amount here. So like that you are performing some operations here. To perform that operation you are taking the help of the keystrokes here. So that is the interfaces for parametric users. Next is interfaces for DBA, database administrator. So interfaces for DBMS administrator is what? Providing the authorities here and providing the privileges here, and okay, what are the resources users want to get, they can access through the permission from the database administrator to granting those privileges and to provide the authorities to the users and to create the users. Okay, so all those purpose whatever you require, no, so for that you can use the interfaces here. So those interfaces you call as a interfaces for database administrator, creating users, providing the authority and providing the privileges to access the resources. You are taking the help of the interfaces here. So these are the different types of the DBMS interfaces based on the user requirements. Is it clear now? Okay, thank you.